Yeah, good morning. Good morning, guys. Very good morning. So I think board is visible, right? Morning, morning, Abhiniti, Vishalni, Kanishka, Akshaya. Good morning. So today we're going to discuss, morphology of, the fifth chapter, morphology of flowering plants, right? And biomolecules. Biomolecules we have tomorrow also. So I hope the board is clear, right? Is everything clear? Good morning, Steve. Is everything clear or is it buffering? Okay, right, fine. So I'm just checking with the board whether it is clear or not. Right, fine, great. So today we are going to discuss about now morphology of flowering plants. And when we see this weightage, you know, these lessons. More than morphology, you will be having more weightage for the anatomy of the flowering plants actually. This anatomical aspects than the morphology, because morphology, I'll tell what are the important aspects you need to cover. For example, root modification, shoot modifications, right? Phyllotaxy. I mean how these leaves are arranged, and the different types of fruits, right? And flowers and their floral arrangement. If you see here, I've given some floral formulas here, right? So here are floral formulas, right? In this entire descriptions of this Fabaceae, we take Solanaceae or Liliaceae families. So these floral parts, floral formulas are important, right? So floral formulas are important. So they may be directly asked giving the floral formula, and they may be asking you to choose which formula is belongs to which family. So you should not be getting any confusion. So before you really comprehend or you remember this formula, you need to know what are all these symbols, and you should be clearly knowing why we are writing this actinomorphic or zygomorphic kind of flowers, right? Whether the petals are fused or open, which are free. So all those things which will be coming under this formula. So this is a short description of the entire flower. So why we use flower is flower is what one of the taxonomical aid. It means we use it for identification of plants. So it will be very easy if we have if we can really if we have two plants, one is flowering and one is non-flowering, we can really easily identify based upon the flowers and the floral types and floral formulas. So that's what we use this floral formula, right? More than that, it has no much significance in your NEET examination as well. Okay. So when we talk about this lesson, right, we'll be we have to see different aspects in this lesson, that what exactly we have to cover. So especially the examples are important in these lessons. No matter what you study the entire lesson or not, only few things you need to definitely focus on. For example, pneumatophores, right? So where exactly you will find, so mangrove plants, mangrove vegetation, right? And if you see this modifications in root and stem are utmost important. So I'll be giving different aspects of this lesson, so which you need to focus more on. Okay, so if you see the weightage also, comparatively to the anatomical aspects, right? Weightage is little less for this morphology. Yes, you please do attend all the tests. Okay, whether you are confident or not. When you write only, you will get to know whether you are confident or not. I can see that yesterday very few members attended the test. Might be the reason, might be I'm guessing, because you may not be confident enough in the 11th standard portions and you are afraid to post the marks. So whether you took or not, it's up to you, up to you in the sense like, now you're not kids, right? You should have that self-conscious, that you should be self-cautiously, whether you have to post or not, that's up to you. But you have to take test at any cost. If you're not posting marks, right, it doesn't mean that you will not be observed or what. Try to post the marks. Even you get negative marks also, try to post the marks. Then only we'll have a motivation to really work towards you, right? If only one or two are posting, we may think that okay, these tests are not anymore working. But if you're taking tests but you're afraid of posting marks, you can personally share also, or marks shouldn't be matter right now. Okay, only one thing should be matter, that is practice. That's it. Okay. Let's move to the the aspects of this lesson. Start with different parts of the plan. So general aspects I'm not covering. What are the important aspects of this lesson only I'm trying to cover. So here uh, the meristematic zones of the root, right? So those roots and how these regions of meristematic tissue are covered with root caps. So these are the important aspects you need to focus on, right? For example, there is a structure of root, that was given, right? So those parts are essential. Which is a region of maturity, which is a region of meristematic activity, which is a region of elongation. So those things you need to focus, right? And then when it comes to types of roots, when we talk about types of roots, right? Plant morphology, yeah. Hmm. Okay. So when we talk about this morphology lesson, almost 7% of the questions you may expect in this lesson. Comparatively, anatomy. So this year analysis is showing that more than anatomy, you may have more chances. Almost, for example, anatomy you have 4%. At the same time, your morphology this lesson, 7% of questions may come from this lesson. So please do focus. So what are the areas we need to focus? Let's discuss fastly. Okay, so when we talk about the roots, so when we divide the plant, we have root system, shoot system, and other parts of the plant where you are already new. And let's move into the details. So types of roots and their examples are important. For example, taproot are there. Which taproot system? Where do you find taproot system? Whether they are monocotyledons or dicotyledonous root. Where do you find taproot? It's a very typical 6th standard question. Where do you observe taproot system and adventitious root system? Please do comment in comment section, right? So you have to focus on types of roots and where do you find those things, whether they are monocotyledons or dicotyledons, right? And then we have to talk about modifications of roots. So if you see this root modifications, you will be having tuberous, fusiform, conical, pneumatophore, napiform, nodulated. So these are the different types of modification of taproot system. You can modifications you can observe in taproot system, and their examples are important. For example, fusiform you will see in radish. You will be conical type of root system you'll be finding in carrot. Pneumatophores you will be finding. It means the roots which can breathe. I told now AP government is trying to you know wipe out this mangrove forests or mangrove region, and they want to construct buildings, right? So this mangrove plants which will have these roots which comes out of the soil and they breathe. So this otherwise called as breathing roots. So this is very important example, because roots tree generally has a specific function of absorbing water, minerals or nutrients from the soil. But these pneumatophores that are especially you will be finding in this type of mangrove roots, right? what they do is they breathe. So these type of modifications that you need to focus. Dicot plants, right? Correct, man. Correct, Steve. Right. So these type of roots modifications and their examples are important. Okay. So here the peculiar roots that you observe are pneumatophorous roots, that are pneumatophytic roots, in the sense they're breathing roots observed in mangrove plants, trees, and then nodulated, that is where it will be having symbiotic association where they fix nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen, they'll be fixing, right? These are all the modifications in taproot system. When we talk about modifications in adventitious root system, we have fasciculated, beet-rooted, beaded. At the these are the different, and you have uh, prop roots, annular roots, climbing roots, right? Contractile roots. It means what you have to focus is examples. You can make a table actually. What you can do is you can do a table like. You can select a root, right? And then you can make a column, and you can write that there modifications, right? And you can write examples like that: a root, stem, and leaf. Likewise, you can, if you make a tabular form, right? So it will be very much easy for you guys to really recollect the things, right? Recollect the things, right? So the next aspect is stem. Like this, you need to more focus on what are the different types we have: taproot, adventitious, and what are the modifications in adventitious as well as taproot system. Then comes to stem. The same formula: stem, and you have got types of stem you will be finding, which is aerial, subaerial, and underground, right? And then you will be talking about different stem modifications, right? Stem which is modified as tendrils, stem which is modified as phyloclad. When we talk about the opentia during our practicals, right? Board practicals, we have in xeric condition we observed this. The stem is modified as a leaf, and it stores this water and food content. It performs photosynthesis. So opentia example, right? So bulbil, so stem modified as bulbils. Oxalis, so these stem types, stem modifications, and the examples, as simple as it, right? Likewise, each you have got different types of stems, right? And those modifications you need to remember, right? You need to practice. For example, subaerial you will be talking about runners, offsets, suckers, stolons. So it means from node to node, it will be, the plant would be connected, and it will be like a creeper, it will be creeping on the surface. Either they float on the water if they are aquatic. For example, they are pistia, offset type of stem modification you can see, which are subaerial. So these are the aspects you may get confused, right? What are aerial, what are subaerial, what are submerged, or underground. So you need to focus on these kind of an examples. Okay. And underground stem modifications like ginger, right? You might be drawing this ginger for ages, right? I would have you would have got you know become artist by drawing this ginger for almost thousands of the times. But here what you need to focus is what are the parts of the ginger. At the same time, what is the example where we use this ginger. For example, rhizome is a underground stem modification. And then when we talk about bulbs, when we talk about palm type, right, colocasia, right, corn type, at the same time tuber type, right, the stem which stores the food material, that is potato. So these are the examples you need to focus in the modifications in stems. And now comes the leaves. When we talk about parts of leaf, it's very basic idea. And then when we talk about venation, venation means arrangement of veins in the lamina, right? Which is nothing but venation. So venation can be of pinnately venated or palmately venated or parallelly venated. So this type of venations, and where do you observe this venation and which families do you observe this type of venation is important. At the same time, during when we talk about the description in family, you will be getting this venation also. So either you can study there or you can study here, right? So you can study organ by organ, that would be more easy. So when I talk about types of leaves, again we have different types of leaves, that is simple leaves, compound leaves. And so when you look around, you will be finding acacia species that you will be finding compound leaves. And in the compound leaves, whether they are pinnately compound or palmately compound. So these arrangements and these examples and which family they belong to are extremely important. Where you may get column A, column B questions, or more match the following questions can come from this lesson. More, right? Almost 7% of questions are coming from this lesson. Mostly will be based upon the examples, memory based. Okay. Right, and then we can even remember we have to even remember the functions of the leaves also. And then if you see this arrangement of leaves on the main branch, how they arrange, so they are cyclically arranged or alternately arranged, right? They will be alternately arranged or oppositely arranged, right? So what is the arrangement of these leaves? Phyllotaxy. And where exactly you will find, what are the different examples of oppositely arranged phyllotaxy, where do you find all these things? And then when we talk about leaves which are modified, especially when you talk about insectivorous plants, the leaves are modified into pitcher leaves, where it will form a pitcher. So you would have remember how this pitcher would look like, right? The pitcher would look like this, right? Right. So this is a pitcher. So this is petiole and this is leaf. So leaf is modified into pitcher. So this is a very good example of, or very important example of the leaf modifications, right? Are you getting this? Are you able to follow? Biomolecules we can continue also. Let us deal this lesson very clearly, because it's almost a year. So by now you're actually working on this lesson. So because biomolecules has got less weightage, in the sense like just 3%, 3 to 4% is there for this biomolecule. So let's try to dig into this chapter more. So the leaves and leaf modifications are utmost important. Okay. So for example, onion, right? Onion, fleshy leaves. So whatever we see, the onion is a modified fleshy leaves, right? At the same time, leaf which formed as tendrils, right? Pisum sativum you used for pick the examples which you already knew, so your association memory, you can use it, because you already knew that Pisum sativum we use for different genetical purposes. So you can use that the tendrils of this Pisum sativum, we used it for you know what do you say, for using giving example for this tendrils. Like this, you need to phylloid and phyllocyclad. These two are very important. Phylloid you will be finding in leaf modification. Phyllocyclad you will be finding in xeric stem modification, right? So this phylloids are important, right? Acacia, if you see, you will find this phylloid. Australian acacia, you will find this phylloid type of leaf modification. And then let's come to the next aspect, that is inflorescence. Hope you guys are following. Please do respond. Are you able to follow? Is everything is clear? What I'm explaining, right? I'm trying to put forth what are the important aspects you need to cover, right? Especially this morphology, you would have studied only 1.5 year or 1 year back. Okay, great. That's great. Thanks for responding. Great. Okay, please do respond, guys. No, for teachers or any other content creators, right? Only one thing which keeps motivating is that the response from you guys. If you guys don't respond in our group, because we are doing a lot of work on material and other aspects, it's not that you need to definitely do that. It's not about obligation, but it's about your interest, and that interest can really drive our motivation also. Okay, we have to do we have to do this much, or we have to do more. So please do respond in group also. Do take tests as well. Okay, let's move on. So when I talk about the inflorescence is something which we we talk about the arrangement of flowers. So in this lesson, again, arrangement of flowers are very important. So especially the inflorescence, right? So what are the different types of inflorescence we can find? So when we talk about the inflorescence, right? We have racemose type of inflorescence, cymose type of inflorescence, compound inflorescence, and special type of inflorescence. So each type of inflorescence you will be having different examples. So those examples you need to focus. Clear? So where exactly this how this flowers are arranged in this type of plants, right? That you need to focus. So we have different types of inflorescence, and their characteristics also very much important, right? For example, racemose, we'll take one inflorescence. Well, if you talk about racemose or intermediate or indefinite inflorescence, if you take, their peduncles continues to grow, forming new brackets and flowers, right? In acropetal manner. We have got different types of arrangement, actually, flowers, acropetal arrangement, right? And if you see this, in this, the oldest flower is near the base and the youngest flower will be nearest the growing point. So this is how the inflorescence is arranged, right? So in this, we have different types of inflorescence within the racemose type of inflorescence, right? Spike, panicle, different inflorescence and their examples that you need to focus, right? Like that, sesamose, which are determined, right? Determinate type of or definite type of inflorescence. There is a definite or indefinite type of inflorescence and mixed type of inflorescence also. I'm not defining anything here because this is not a new lesson for you, and we are quickly seeing the important aspects, and we are trying to address the important areas that we need to focus, right? So that's why I'm not going to each and every definition, but if you go through and if you have any confusion, you try to reach me at any point of time. So definite, indefinite, mixed type of inflorescence, and you can make a tabular form and you can put the characteristics and you can compare and contrast so that it will be easy. So these are the examples you need to focus. For example, special type of inflorescence, you have hypanthodium, right? Hypanthodium, where you will be having opening, small pore, and within that the insects goes inside, right? even before you cut open the this hypanthodium fruit, you will be finding the association of some organisms, some insects within this, what is uh, this fruit actually. So once this flower becomes a fruit, it bears some insects actually. So we have special type of inflorescence which are very unique. So you need to focus on indeterminate, determined, mixed, and special type of inflorescence. Within this special type of inflorescence, what are the different types you have, right? Hypanthodium, right? So in hypanthodium, what are the examples? People plant or fig. Fig, if you would have drawn the fig diagram also many times, right? So examples and type of inflorescence is important. So where exactly male flowers are present, where exactly female flowers are present, whether they are bisexual or unisexual. Those things, those aspects are important. If you take Cyathium as an example, so how they are arranged, right? So it belongs to Euphorbiaceae family, and how this Cyanthium is arranged. So how the female flower is there, and how these male flowers are arranged, right? So those things you need to focus, right? Good. Let's move on. That is, we have to talk about flower. When it comes to flower, right? When we talk about structure of flower, it's again a lower standard. In lower standards, you already talked about different structures like calyx. You have here you have to know the modifications of these sepals or calyx. So calyx is modified into leaf or hooded type of calyx. So modifications of sepals you need to focus. These are all aspects you can find it in your NEET material also, right? Today I will try to give some outline of this chapter because the other chapters are so extensively covered, so I didn't give, because those chapters this NCERT is enough. But when it comes to this chapter, there are n number of examples. I will give some material you can follow it. So modification of sepals, modification of petals, what are the types and shapes of corolla, right? That is nothing but petals, right? How this collection of petals called corolla and have this different types of shapes, right? And arrangement of these petals, we call it as aestivation, right? This aestivation or arrangement of petals, right? Which were twisted, right? Which were valvate. So just they these petals are just arranged like this. Few are twisted like this. So those arrangements, when you take cross section, you will be observing the arrangement of you know so the arrangement would be something like this. So how these petals are arranged, so those things you need to focus. And androecium gynoecium, you are well about it, and the even types of androecium, types of gynoecium you need to focus. So what are the types of stamens you will be finding? Like cohesion type of stamens you may find, fixation, fixed type of filaments, fixation of filaments, right? At the same time, when we talk about types of stamens, we talk about based upon the length of the stamens also we'll be talking. So this polyandrous, right, and synandrous, right? We have got different types of androecium and different types of gynoecium, right? Those examples also you need to focus. And when we talk about floral structure, right, we will talk about actinomorphic flowers and zygomorphic flowers and asymmetric type of flowers. When we say actinomorphic flowers, when the flower is regular and radially symmetric. So if a flower is there, if you imagine this is a flower, so when we bisect this, it is radially symmetrical. like those are actinomorphic. So that can be depicted here, right? How they are depicted in floral form also need to focus. So when we talk about the floral structure, we have to focus on what are the how what is the symmetry of the flowers, whether they are actinomorphic flowers or asymmetric flowers or zygomorphic flowers, right? So you can see in your garden also, house garden also, you can take a flower and you bisect it, right? You take a cross section, you can see whether they are radially arranged or radially symmetric or asymmetric or zygomorphic. So zygomorphic is something, it forms bilateral, right? Bilaterally symmetrical. And then we have hermaphrodite or intersexual or bisexual flowers, unisexual or dioecious flowers, means sexes are separate, complete or incomplete flowers, regular or irregular flowers, cyclic or acyclic flowers. So these are all characteristics of flowers, and their examples are utmost important. So this morphology is something, is a version of you know identification of plants, right, based upon flowers, right? So we need to know as many aspects we can really learn in this based upon the flowers, right? So examples you need to cover. So I think you already been very well trained in these examples right from your 11th standard. So please do focus on them, right? Whether they are bracketed or e-bracketed flowers, right? It means whether they have the small leaf-like structure or not. So if it is there, they are bracketed or e-bracketed. Like that, you need to focus on the examples of the floral, you know, what do you say, characteristics of the flower, right? That's what we talked about: petals, sepals, right? And then we talked about the terms related to, when we talk about the terms, right? These are the different terms you need to focus on, right? This terminology is important because when you are defining certain flower or certain family flower, this terminology comes into picture. So if you are confused with the terminology, you are gone, your marks will be gone. And then next comes to the placentation. Placentation is arrangement of ovules. So here we are trying to study an organ and their arrangements, right? We are all talking about one organ system, the flower. Within that flower, how these ovules are arranged, those ovules arrangement, we call it as placentation. When we talk about the placentation, to the placenta, how these seeds are arranged. So maybe basal type of placentation you will be finding, free central, right? Central placentation, axial type of in the center of the axis, the seeds or ovules would be arranged, right? Or they will be freely arranged, or they will be, partially central or partially fused type. So these are the, or they are marginal kind of arrangement of placentation will be taken. So what are the different types of placentation? What are its characteristics? How they are arranged? How exactly, where exactly ovules are arranged? So those can be a potential section A, section B type of questions. And lastly, we will be, when we talk about the fruits, right? Different types of fruits are there, right? Yeah. So next we'll be talking about the fruits, different types of. You may get clarity on that. Okay, fine. We'll see later. I'll be posting in group otherwise. Okay. So next we'll be talking about the fruits. We have got true fruits and false fruits. When we talk about the true fruits, right? So we have again different types of true fruits. So on what basis we call true fruits, or on what basis we call it as false fruits also, you need to remember. For example, true fruits are fruits which are developed from ovary of the flower. So other than ovary, from any other organ, if it is developed, other floweral parts fruit is developed, it is false fruit. Like thalamus, right? From the thalamus, the fruit would be developed. In the case of apple, right? Pears. But when the fruit is developed from the ovary of the flower, then it is true fruits, right? Mango, orange, etc. When we talk about true fruits, again they are divided into simple fruits, aggregate fruits, and composite fruits. Again, these simple fruits can be dry type and succulent type, means fleshy. Okay, so dry type, again we have different types of categories like dehiscent, indehiscent, and cytocorpic fruits. So within this, you need to know the examples. What are the true fruits? True, simple, dry, dehiscent. See, they may be giving in one statement. So from the following, which fruits are true, simple, dry, dehiscent fruits? True, simple, dry, indehiscent fruit. True, simple, dry, schizocorpic fruits. So you need to pick the correct example or correct one. Maybe they may be asking even characteristics also. So spend much time on this, and tomorrow you can spend time on biomolecules. Okay, divide like that. But first finish this and then go for biomolecules. And then when we talk about succulent type or fleshy type, in fleshy type you have different types of fruits: pome, drupe, berry, pepo, right? Hesperdium. You know, these are the different types of fleshy fruits you can observe. Right, so succulent types like hesperdium and berry, drupe, pome. So what are these examples? So true, simple fruit, succulent type, pome or pepo. What are the examples of the fruits that you need to focus? An aggregate type of fruits. Can you give any one example of you know, dry dehiscent fruits? Dry dehiscent fruits. Dry dehiscent. So meanwhile, you can search for this also. You can pause the video and you can pause the video and then you can search and you can refer back and you can come as well while you are preparing, right? So you can view this video for n number of times. That's what I'm taking this YouTube live classes. Otherwise, I would have used other you know, online classes platforms, but YouTube live is more authentic and more secure, and privacy concerns are very less. So I'm using this so that you can view this video n number of times. That's the main agenda, right? Okay, let's move on. Yeah, someone answered. Yeah, yeah, Steve, you have answered like one of the pumpkin. Okay. So pod like or follicle, and you have got different dehiscent type within this dry dehiscent. You know, others also please respond. Try any sort. You can take any sort of examples, right? You can talk. You can give examples of pome, pepo, whatever it is. Yeah. So I'm asking about what is it? Simple fruits, right? Simple dry dehiscent fruits. That's it. As simple as it. Others also can respond. So likewise, these examples you need to focus on, like what are the different types of fruits you have and their examples, and right. So which was not that much covered in the NCERT, but you may find in your NEET books, right? So you need to focus on it, right? So let's move on to the next aspect, that is yeah, nuts. Okay, fine, good. Dried eggs, fine, very good. Okay. And we have got brassica, we have Calotropis examples, cotton, right? So these are some of the dehiscent type of fruits, dry dehiscent type of fruits. Okay. Yeah. Correct. Correct, ma'am. Let's move on. Okay. Next, when we talk about this, these are the types of fruits that you need to focus: true fruits and false fruits. Right, within that you have got aggregate fruits also. Aggregate fruits, if you see, or you will be finding different examples of aggregate fruits. So those aggregate fruits are that you need to focus on. Examples, right? What are the different aggregate fruits that you can see, right? For example, Arthropoteris, right? So this is one of the Cuscuta members, right? Not Cuscuta, sorry. What do you say? This Arthropoteris, which will show this type of aggregate fruit, type of arrangement, fruit type. Okay. And then coming to the composite, for example, composite type of fruits you will be finding in pineapple type of fruits, right? So these are the different types of fruits and their false fruit, true fruits, and their types that you need to focus. Coming to seed, parts of seeds, and when we talk about this seed, right? So the seed parts, and you can read as an flowchart method that you can see, like the seed can be divided into on the basis of number of cotyledons, monocotyledon, dicotyledon, and on the basis of the presence or absence of endosperm, right? Either they are endospermic or non-endospermic. So in this way, if you classify or if you read while you're preparing, if you have a flow chart with you, it will be quickly you can recollect. Then based upon endospermic, if it is endospermic, what are the different types of parts you will find in endosperm that you need to focus on. Okay. And then last aspect is the floral aspects, that is technical description of the flowering plants, right? When we technically describe the flowering plants, how do we describe? So when we talk about technical description, we will talk about you know for example, when we talk about here, if you can see here the floral formula icon. So if you see this K stands for calyx. Whether it is fused, what are the number of calyx or present? Whether 5 or what are the number? Whether they are free or fused up. So likewise, the terminology is extremely important when it comes to this floral formula, right? So when we talk about this flower formula, right, the terminology, for example, here we are saying this is actinomorphic type of arrangement, right? So this is gynoecium, androecium, how they are present, right? So whether they are fused or whether they are inferior or superior or semi inferior, those are the things. This is bisexual flowers, right? Unisexual are female flowers, or male flowers are bisexual, and yeah, this is fused type, cohesion, fused. The brackets represent the fusion type. So when we talk about this floral description, you need to focus on the description of each family. That only 3 families were covered in this chapter: Fabaceae, and we have Solanaceae and the Liliaceae member. So vegetative characteristics, at the same time floral characteristics you need to focus on. So when you really see this floral formula, you can, by just looking at this floral formula, because every time we need to go for the same same order. like when we firstly talk about the actinomorphic or zygomorphic type of flowers, bisexual, unisexual, sexuality of the flowers, and then we talk about the calyx arrangement, corolla arrangement, and then we will talk about the androecium, gynoecium. These all aspects will be in the same order. For example, if you go for a tiler, right, they will take measurements. So they will not take randomly. As my father is a tiler, when I used to write some, when one of my father's customers comes, when I'm available over there, right? Now he asked to write down the numbers measurements. So they can't randomly. They will not randomly take. Okay, first here, next here, or the leg, right, or the waist measurements. It's not like that. They will follow. My father would follow a particular arrangement for any customer, right? So if he is stitching a shirt, he will start with the collar measurements, and then chest measurement, and then hands, and then sleeves. So this, there is an order of measurement for all the customers, all the type of that kind of a garment. For example, stitching a shirt, like that, this floral alignment all also follows a certain order. Like we talk about actinomorphic or zygomorphic in nature, or then sexuality, and then we talk about calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. Like that, you need to focus, and then even economic importance also you need to focus on this. Three floral formulas you need to definitely try to remember this floral formulas, right? So this actinomorphic and bisexual, how this calyx is arranged, and how the corolla is arranged, and androecium and gynoecium, whether it is inferior or superior or semi-inferior, that you need to focus, right? So these are the three different. I didn't give here. Solanaceae I didn't give. Fabaceae, Liliaceae I gave. So right, like this you need to approach this lesson. So these are, with this we winding up this lesson, right? These are the important aspects you need to focus on. I hope this was clear. And when we talk about the biomolecules, so is it clear, guys? I think this session is helpful, right? So I'm quickly brushing up your past knowledge. So I'm giving a quick outline. So I hope this this session is useful for you guys, right? And yeah, great. That's great. So biomolecules are concerned. The biomolecules is almost 2 to 3% of questions comes, but still it's an important important chapter that you need to cover, which is very vast chapter. So what you can do is quickly complete this lesson and come back to this biomolecules lesson, and tomorrow we'll try to discuss the biomolecules full chapter, right? So that this 1 hour I spent on this lesson, this morphology, so that uh, you know, half of, why to share half of things, so we can complete this morphology today, and then we can go for biomolecules too. So when I talk about biomolecules, you have to brush your knowledge on the enzymes and their functions, right? How do they function, right? uh, uh, Even in chemistry also you studied the biomolecules, right? The structure of nucleotides and amino acids. I don't think amino acids were covered in structures were not covered in chemistry also, but we practice the structures as well, in the sense like the names 20 amino acids and their mnemonics, etc. I have given already. So try to focus on enzymes aspects, right? So when we talk about this, uh, bondings are very much important, like glycosidic bondage, and glycosidic bonds, right? How peptide bonds, glycosidic bonds, phosphodiester bonds. You need to definitely know that in between two atoms, like this carbon and nitrogen, or carbon-carbon bonds, or carbon phosphate. So this you need to know pakka, because they may give this peptide bonds or the name of the bonds, and they may give some diagrams, and they may ask you to find out which bond is corresponding to which diagram. So this type bonds, when we talk about different types of bonds, peptide bonds, glycosidic bonds, phosphodiester bonds, etc., hydrogen bonds, hydrophobic disulfide bridges, where do you find? For example, if you take protein, that is antibody, right? You will be finding these disulfide bridges, right? So this is how you need to connect the chapters of 11th with 12th also. So in one shot, you can really recollect everything. That okay, 11th book is different, 12th book is different, botany is different, geology is different, chemistry is different. Don't look in this perspective. It never ever helps you, especially when you are seriously preparing, or if you are a serious aspirant of NEET or any sort of medical examination. This approach is proven, and this approach is what we need to focus. No mugging up, it will not help you. Only 5 to 10% of memory based questions would come, and that will really, you know, hamper your approach to other questions if you keep mugging up, and if you don't really realize this is the type of approach you need to follow. You can come to debate also. You can talk with any educator who really knows how to attempt any sort of competitive exams, not this theory based. Okay, theory based is something very much different, right? So theory based also, I don't encourage mugging up. You knew very pretty well about that, because in long run it will not be helpful, and you will be witnessing in your future college days as well. If anyone who is mugging up, they will find it very difficult to really cope up with the college studies. Okay, anyways, what I mean to say, my only intention is that to have a proper strategy for your examination, nothing more than that. So these biomolecule lessons, this is how you need to approach. So when we talk about disulfide bridges, okay, antibody, we have seen the disulfide bridges, right, between light chain and heavy chain. That's how you need to recollect the stuff. Otherwise you can't finish this lesson, I'm saying. Okay, likewise the monosaccharides and the chain, linear type and Fisher model, and closed chain model of the molecular structures of monosaccharides, disaccharides, their examples. Those are the examples you need to focus on. Polysaccharides, there's examples. Where do you find this amylopectin, amylose? So this type of starch, where do you find this amylase, etc., right? Where do you find this chitin or chitin, right? At the same time, proteins, when we talk about proteins, the different type, 20 amino acids, different types, essential, non-essential. At the same time, I've given Bapan, right? Bapan is one of the, mnemonic we have discussed previously. Is one of the YouTuber also used this. So it's really inspired by those mnemonics, and I started giving our own mnemonics we formulated also. So you need to focus on that. Basic, acidic, polar, non-polar, and neutral type of amino acids, and their names are important. Right now, when I gave mnemonics for genetic code, you would have been memorizing all the 20 types of 20 amino acids. Now here you need to recollect what category they fall on. What are the basic amino acids? What are acidic amino acids, right? What are hydrophobic? What are hydrophilic amino acids? So what are aromatic amino acids? What those are the things you need to focus on. So we'll deal with this lesson tomorrow. So these are the general aspects that you focus on, right? Especially DNA structure and its carbon, the C5 carbons, and each I gave in NEET classes and even academic classes very clearly. Each carbon, C1 carbon has certain roles, C2 carbon has of the ribose of the DNA has certain roles, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. C5, C3 involves in this phosphodiester bond, and what makes this deoxy? DNA as a deoxy. Where exactly this oxygen is, will not be there, right? So those things you need to focus, right? And then we'll be talking about the enzymatic functions and enzymes, how they will be affected, factors affecting the enzyme functions as well. We'll be covering. So with this, we'll complete this biomolecules lesson. Tomorrow we'll be taking up the biomolecules lesson. So I gave what are the important highlights you need to focus once you finish this morphology of the flowering plants. I hope this session is very useful for you guys, and please leave feedback in the class group as well. So please consider subscribing and like before you go. And for the materials are concerned, I'm trying to give this materials in one of the online platform that I've already created, and I'm already sharing that links also. So I'll be keep updating that link. Please go through at least once or a while this website. It is especially created for the students, right? So please go through this, and thank you for coming live and interacting here. And will you and please do attend the tests, right? And we'll see you in the next class. And stay at home, stay safe, right? Take care. So yeah, thank you. We'll see you in the next video tomorrow at same time. So please access that link, and we'll be having different material which I'm posting in the group as well. I'm keep updating. Thank you.